Hello there, you're watching and listening to another Scoutcast from www.fantasyfootballscout.co.uk, and my name is Mark. Good evening.
My name's Jonty. Good evening.
My name's Andy. Hey.
And Luke, I'll disable.
Good evening to the three of you. Once again, there's four of us here. Apologies first of all for not being able to turn up last week. I had a pretty bad virus, and I don't mean an electronic virus. It laid me in bed for a couple of days. I tried to get myself out of bed on the fire. You can ask Jonty. Every day I was checking in, going, "No, I can't do it today. Can't do it today." And it got to Friday, and I just thought, this isn't going to happen. It's a shame, but don't worry. I've got plenty to say on Aguero anyway. Yes, welcome to the Scoutcast, gentlemen. We're going to go over our game weeks in detail. Although, you know, our game weeks are very similar. Surprise, surprise, and there's probably a reason for that. Hence Aguero. We're going to talk about some of the questions that the community have fired us. Lukaku, we've got to talk about Lukaku, particularly after tonight, after he went off with an injury and then Barkley took 2 penalties. The irony of that. We're going to talk about Sanchez and Ozil. We're going to talk about goalkeepers as well. They're the transfers that nobody wants to make, but maybe we have to. Maybe it's time to get rid of Butland after all. And then we're going to look ahead to the game week, which is just a couple of days away, of course, having had a midweek game week. It's been an exhausting week. With the midweek game week and the lights, but we've just about recovered, haven't we? Jonty, first to you. You've got to be happy. Another clean sheet tonight. That's a decent tally. What was your total in the end?
Yeah, I think I'm on 62 in the end, which is you know, pretty solid haul. So I'm quite pleased with that. Obviously disappointed Aguero, my favourite, let me down slightly, but I probably would have captained Payet if I hadn't have captained him. So I'm quite happy with that. And,
would you have gone Payet with that? You reckon?
I think so, yeah. I mean, possibly Kane. I mean, the thing is, of course, you know, after the event, oh yeah, of course you would have captained Kane. But I think, hand on heart, I probably would have gone for Payet. I just thought Villa were in such a state, and I know Norwich are in a bit of a state as well, but Villa really are in dire straits, and I just thought he would. But yeah, I'm happy with Aguero there. I think yeah, Ivanovic again. I keep going on about him again. More points. And Charlie Daniels, another one. I put him in for his attacking points. I didn't think he'd get a clean sheet, and he turned 8 points, which, as we know, for 4.5, 4.6, whatever he is now, that's good value. So
yeah, we had a bit of a set too about Daniels versus other defenders on the scout picks behind the scenes. We do have arguments about that. People think that we just pluck them out of thin air. We have a long discussion throughout the week, and Daniels is one that we were chatting about on there, and I was going, I wanted Dan in there. And of course he scored, and I thought, aha, I got that one right. But then Daniels cropped up with the assist and the bonus and outscored him. So it was a bit of you know, to and fro with that one.
Well, I think so. I think Daniels is. I mean, everyone who owns him knows that he's a really good player to own because of that. Because he's got these bonus points, he's got penalties, he's got assists, he's cheap. And Bournemouth aren't that bad. I mean, I'm not quite sure. They might get the odd clean sheet against the easy opposition.
No, they've improved defensively, and they've got good fixtures to come. I mean, the thing is with Daniels, he's an attacking fullback, and as we've seen this year, and we saw it with Creswell, he was one that I wanted in the picks because I thought, well, West Ham are going to be attacking, and he can wide bonus as well. Attacking fullbacks are where the bonus is at this year, just through crosses, I think. Andy, tell us about your game week. Your wild card wasn't active, but you had a decent game week anyway. So you sat on the wild card after. You must have been tempted.
Not really, to be honest. It's similar to the week before. I think on paper it looked okay. The wildcard's attempt, I just don't know attacking wise who I'd really want right now, which is the main problem. But yeah, I got 66 this week, so I think I'm potentially the highest scorer for the first time. Yeah,
bring the crop.
Yeah, I also had Charlie Daniels, but he's actually on my bench. All my defenders, including the ones on the bench, scored points this week. So yeah, Huth with the bonus against Liverpool. The only mistake really was bringing in Hennessy and not just playing Schmeichel.
Yeah, there he is. I mean, Leicester did so well with a cleanie again. You had Bertrand as well, which you didn't play. I mean, I had Target, but as it turns out, we should talk about that later. He got swapped out onto the bench anyway. But yeah, good game week for Andy. Not so good for you, Luke. I mean, of the four of us, you're trailing back there. You've got 56 points, or have you got some in tonight?
If Aspilicueta holds on to the 3 bonus, I'll have 59. Yeah, not great. It's because I didn't have Kane. So, you know, to get that 59 without Kane, I think I did pretty well somehow, but not having Kane's really hard.
Yeah, so you kept Aguero in there and Lukaku. We've all got Lukaku, so we're going to have to talk about him later on. But the player we should talk about, of course, is Aguero. Jonty, you're not going to let me off this, of course, because even though I didn't turn up, from my sickbed last week. For those who didn't hear the Scoutcast a couple of weeks ago, or even before that, I was briefly, for a couple of weeks, trying to cling to the idea of not going Aguero, and then game week 23 happened, and that went out the window a bit. And it was basically the West Ham game, the second brace that he got, which convinced me to go Aguero. I mean, were you three surprised? I guess it didn't come as much a surprise to you, Jonty.
Well, I mean, there we were on the Scoutcast. We were begging you to stick to your guns, and then you just let us down. I couldn't believe it. No, I wasn't surprised because you look at a second brace going in. I didn't think that your no Aguero policy was that bad. What I thought was just some of the reasoning behind it. I think you're right. There are other strikers who can kind of tag along, can match him. But I think it was that the notion that the cost was so prohibitive, and it was really making the rest of the team really poor. And I reeled up all the kind of players who were doing far better than us this season, and they all had Aguero in, and they just had good sides. And I think it's because you had Ali in as a make weight, and you already seen the benefit there of spending that money on Aguero and kind of forcing yourself to spend less. Because here you've got the quality players who actually cost less. So you've got Ali in, and what did Ali get? Just 45 minutes. He scored 10 points. That's fantastic. Imagine if he lasted the game. Yeah,
I get your point, but I'd counter that by saying, I had a decent game week. I got 61 points. I spent 4, okay, but in a normal regular game week, 61 points. You'd think that I'd be happy with that. But I got a red arrow, and the reason I got a red arrow is I've got almost identical team to the people around me. All 4 of us are sitting here with very, very similar teams. We've all got Ali, we've all got Lukaku, we've all got Aguero, we've all got Payet. So it's all very well us being kind of like happy with that and being comfortable with that, but we ain't going anywhere, are we? That's the trouble. That's what I was trying to say. I was trying to say that it doesn't show match ambition by going with the Aguero Ali template because so many people around us have got that. Do you not think that?
Well, the thing was, when we were having this discussion, Aguero was actually a differential captain. He wasn't that well owned. The week even before, when he had his first brace, he was actually a differential in terms of ownership as well. And the combination of those that earned, lots of people that you know and within the fantasy football scout community, but overall, the combination of those that own both is actually quite small. So it still does well. But yes, it has gone template, but that's always been the way every season. You've got to get good players in. If they keep scoring, you've got to get them in. You can't ignore them. And it's what you make of those other ones. And you've got AU, for example. I mean, he's still he's well owned, but amongst people that you're kind of competing with, he's not there. So he's quite a good person. He's quite a good player for you to put out in game week 25, for example, to set you apart from the crowd there.
Maybe. I mean, the thing is, I looked at it last. I feel better tonight having Lukaku got his 2 points or 1 point, because I think I was destined to captain Lukaku if I didn't have Aguero, right? So possibly that was a narrow escape. Before tonight, though, I looked at it and thought, well, I would have had Vardy because that's who I sold for Aguero, and with the KDB injury, I made my transfers before the KDB injury. With the KDB injury, my transfer would have been KDB to Ali. I would have thought, or even KDB to Barkley. It would have been one of those two, but probably Ali. So I would have had Ali's points anyway, regardless of having Aguero, right? So I don't think I can count that as going, phew, thank God that I got Aguero and Ali in, because I think I would have done, because it just transpired that KDB got his injury in midweek, and I would have had to have changed that. I wasn't going to have him on my bench because he's out for 10 weeks. So odds on, I would have conceded and gone Ali anyway. So really, Vardy's goals last night, I was down on the deal until Lukaku got the 1 point, because I like to think I would have put the captaincy on Kane at Norwich, but I wouldn't have done. I probably would have gone Lukaku. So I feel slightly better about it, but I know there's a question on this, isn't there, Jonty, about my shift back to Aguero?
I mean, Snid asks, why did you make all the fuss of not going with Aguero and having the luxury of the fixtures and getting the mid-price midfielders whenever you wanted? You had that kind of freedom because you had all that money. And then to give in after 2 weeks. So, I mean, I guess from that really is do you feel that you have, in terms of long-term moves, in terms of what you perhaps like to do in game week 25 and 26 and 27, do you now feel constrained by having Aguero, or are you okay? Are you happy to?
I feel slightly constrained. I think it is like but with the KDB injury, that's made it a whole lot easier because obviously there's a lot more money floating around for everybody. I had to get rid of KDB to get Aguero, so it actually played into my hands. Now everyone's going to get rid of him, so it's not. I haven't got that as an issue. But I am disappointed in myself because in hindsight I'd have liked to have held on longer. But the problem I've got, which other people don't have, perhaps to the same degree, I know everyone on our site takes fantasy football seriously. Of course we do. But I have to take it to a point where almost every minute I'm thinking about fantasy football. I have to write about fantasy football. I have to read and edit other people's work. I have to commission work. I have to be switched on to fantasy football all the time. Now, when you have a bad game week, like game week 23 was to me, when Aguero killed me in that game with that brace, even though City didn't play very well, he got a brace, I felt really low, and I felt to myself, I can't afford more game weeks like that. That's the problem, because I have to wake up Sunday morning and edit notes, and I have to wake up Monday morning and commission stuff. I have to talk to you regularly, John T. It's not just on here I talk to you all the time. People don't realise that. I have to suffer it all the time. So it's hard for me to suffer those lows. I mean, you know, you guys can have a low game week and possibly take a few days off fantasy football before you look at your team again. I can't. I've got to be looking at it all the time. So it's actually really hard to deal with. And Aguero, more than any other player, can hurt you and give you some traumatic lows. When he got those 5 goals, I know people who were close to giving up at that point because they didn't have him. Luckily I did. Had I not had him that game week, it would have been tough for me to turn out on Sunday morning writing scout notes and you know, and turning up to the scout. It's tough because it hurts, doesn't it? It hurts us. Bad game weeks really do hurt us because we care that much.
I totally see that, Mark. And I was going to say, well, you're looking at, you know, when you look at it in isolation, game weeks in isolation, you can always look at it and think, oh, good, I'm better that week. Good, I'm better this week. Vardy's outscoring this week. That's always going to happen. But you've gone through it. You've done the right thing, in my opinion, because it's consistency, isn't it? Aguero is that consistent worry off of your mind that you don't have to think about. You just put the captain armband on him, sit back, and there we go. And then you give him game week, you know, he can be outscored, but you've taken that choice away from it, haven't you? So I think for your peace of mind, as you've just described there, that's the best way to go about it.
This is it. What I've done is, I think without Aguero, I think I was right. I think there were you know, swings and roundabouts, and I think, you know, with Vardy's goals and had Lukaku scored tonight, that would have been, I probably would have got the top score amongst the 4 of you, probably, but eked it out, managed it, because Aguero only got 1 goal and he didn't get bonus, right? So, you know, I would experience some highs, but also I would definitely experience more lows like that brace at West Ham, and it's whether you can withstand that. And in the position I'm in, doing what I do, I can't put myself or my family through it because it's really tough. So I have to do it, and it's a shame because I would love to have stuck to my guns and experienced the highs and lows of the rest of the season. Instead of that, I've kind of got a flatline season now. I'm probably going to cruise somewhere in the 150,000 mark for the next 10 weeks, and my season will just fizzle out. Unless I do something remarkable with some differentials somewhere, I can see that happening. But I've got to just settle for that. It's a shame, but I've got to, I think, for my own sanity. I mean, do you guys, I mean, Andy, do you feel with Aguero and with similar teams, it's very difficult to make an impression? It's going to be very difficult, I think, for any of us to break the 10,000 or even 20,000, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously the closer your team is to the top 10k, then the longer it takes to build up because you don't have as many differentials. But at the same time, because I was on the site when you came on after you made the transfers.
Yes.
I think you made the point that, you know, the last 2 weeks you've gone down, so now Aguero's going to halt that. So, well, you might not be able to climb as quick. You're not going to fall as quick either. So it depends. I mean, obviously weeks are running out now, so there's obviously that call to make about how different you go. But I think sometimes a player that gets a goal or assist every 80 minutes or whatever his ridiculous record is, you're just fighting against everyone by not having him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's
like he's the reasons you said about, you know, now he's going to be your captain, you're not going to want to captain everyone else, is exactly why people do buy him. So it was a brave decision, but I think you were right to do it. But to kind of maybe make it worse, the next 2 fixtures against 2 of the best defences in the league, and then he's got a blank, so maybe he should have stuck to it. I don't know. Hindsight.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. I'd have liked to have tried, but I just think that it was that West Ham performance. When he scored the first goal from the penalty, I could have lived with that. But then City played they played pretty ordinary in that game, and he still managed to score a goal because West Ham made an error and it fell to him, and he just finished it clinically. And that convinced me. I was like, even though City aren't playing well, and I still don't think they played well. You know, last night at Sunderland, they struggled and they managed to eke out a 1-0. They're not flying in, they're not throwing in goals in 3s and 4s. at the moment, and with KDB out, maybe they won't for a while. But he can score goals when they play badly as well, and that's what really rubbed it in for me. And I thought, I just can't do it, can I? I can't put myself through it.
He's definitely got another Patrick 4-goal, 4 or 5-goal performance in him, hasn't he? He's got to have it at some point. You just see it coming. Like you say, he's so clinical, and they're playing not that well at the moment. All it takes is for a good performance, Silva to turn up. You just never know what's going to happen. Could be another monster.
Yeah, no, I know you're right, and I think that I think I've done the right thing, but it doesn't feel right. And to answer Snid's question, I feel I've let a few people down. I've let myself down. Those who were fist pumping, going, "Come on, don't sign him." Yeah, I had to backtrack, and it's not that I was giving in to you guys, and it was peer pressure. It was really the pressure of I can't feel like this again, because if I have weeks like this, it's going to be a real struggle to do what I do. So yeah, I had to play safe, and it doesn't feel great, but I've got to try and make the most of it. John T, should we talk about Lukaku? There's some questions on him, isn't there? Surely.
Lukaku, yeah. Well, even before tonight, he got 1 point. He's gone off injured. We don't know what the extent of that injury is. It doesn't look major serious, but who knows? But already people were asking Lukaku replacements. Who are you selling Lukaku for? Says Balders. I mean, and he was one of a number asking that. It's been a big chat on the site. People have started putting it around in their heads who they're going to get. I put a thing up on Fantasy Football Scout earlier today saying I'm genuinely flummoxed about who to get in. There is so much choice at the moment, not just in midfield, but for strikers as well. So your choice of who you get for Lukaku depends on who else you want to get in as well. Do you want to kind of take a hit or do it as a double thing? There's so much choice. I mean, I've got a table here. This is prior to tonight's matches, so the last 4 game weeks. So, I mean, who are the best strikers to get? So this is in terms of big chances and shots on target. Harry Kane's at the top of the pile. So if you haven't got Harry Kane and you've got Lukaku, get Harry Kane. Simple. Yeah. Aguero's next. If you haven't got
listening, Luke.
yeah. If you haven't got Aguero, get him. So yeah. And then you start moving down the list, and then it gets a bit cloudy, and then you're not quite sure what to do, because some of the players have not great fixtures, but they're kind of showing some form. And then you've got like Giroud who's coming in, but looking back at Giroud's scores, they're kind of okay. He doesn't really get bonus though. He doesn't even get bonus when he scores maybe 2 goals, and then you've got Özil and Sanchez. So if they start racking up the goals, it's them two that are probably going to be getting the points. So, and then you've got Mitrovic. Well, he didn't even start tonight, and Newcastle signed a new striker. And you keep going down that list, and then you've got lots of midfielders. So it starts to be the midfielders again.
So you're saying there's a lot of choice. I had a look at it briefly before coming on here, and I've looked at Lukaku's stats, and there's not major regression, to be fair. What has regressed is his shot accuracy. It's about half what it was before game week 18. It was 39% before game week 43% before game week 18, and it's gone down to 17%. So he's just not hitting the target recently. He's still getting chances with almost the same regularity. Maybe the quality of the chance has gone down. With the new striker arriving, or maybe he's going to play out wide, then who knows what's going to happen to Lukaku. But he's got the blank. So, he's got the blank in game week 27. So if he's an injury doubt for Stoke at the weekend, which we've got to presume he's going to be, he'll probably come through and he'll probably play. He's got Stoke and West Brom the next 2. Now, those defences, West Brom's away defence, they're not going to concede, they're going to come and park the bus, and then he's got the blank. And so it does, Balders, he's right, it sounds like it's a formality. We're all going to get rid of Lukaku. But I don't think it's obvious where to go. I mean, are we tempted by VAR? I mean, Luke, you've gone Kane, obviously. Is that the move you've done?
Oh yeah, I've got to get Kane, haven't I? I mean, I had him at the very beginning of the season for like 8 games. He did absolutely nothing. He's been mean to me this season. He really has. But yeah, I mean, I haven't got him. I swapped him out for Aguero, which has worked out overall, but he's starting to hurt me now. These penalties he keeps picking up really doing my head in. So I've got to get him in. If I wasn't going to get him, I think it's got to be Vardy. The guy's a machine.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, Andy, are you looking back at? I mean, you've got a Galo, have you not, in there? Or what is your strike force? You got Kane, Aguero, Lukaku. Yeah. So Lukaku's going. It's going to be what, Vardy or Galo for you, or are you looking to something a bit more to spice it up, a bit more differential?
I think it's pretty difficult because I would kind of like Vardy. I just don't want him right now because the next 2 fixtures are tough.
Yeah.
And my problem is as well is I have two Leicester goalkeeper and defender, so I'm actually 3 Leicester already without him. So I'd have to take a hit to get him this week. I mean, I've looked at other options. There was potentially going to be Austin, but he's just not started because of a knock. You got Dumbia maybe at Newcastle, but he hasn't started yet. Martial and Rooney. Rooney scored 7 and 7 now, but you know, next game, who knows if they're going to play the same? So it's really tough. My hope is that he's not going to be injured and I'm going to play him, because Stoke and West Brom's not the worst fixtures. They're not the best, and then look at Vardy in game week 27. I think if you haven't got Kane, then Kane, but Vardy in game week 27 looks almost like a must-have right now. Yeah,
I mean, look at the run that Leicester have got after that. They got Norwich at home, West Brom at home, Watford away, Newcastle at home in the 4 that follow game week 27. You're going to want to hold your Leicester defender, and you're going to hold Mahrez. And you're going to want Vardy, and maybe the armband's going back at one of Vardy or Mahrez over that spell. John T, are you going to welcome Vardy back in? Because I know, I mean, we both fell in love with him, didn't we, in that Arsenal game? But we both turned away from him now. So,
well, this is what I was saying about the difficult decisions. Yeah, Vardy looks great because he's playing in game week 27. He's on form. But then you look at the fixtures, and I said, do I really, hand on heart, want to be playing? Getting Vardy in as he goes away to Man City and Arsenal. Now, I can see him scoring against Man City, but I can't see a huge score. I can't see this massive score. I mean, he's going to come back and bite me. And then Arsenal as well. Now, if we know, Arsenal are pretty tough to beat at home. So these aren't great fixtures.
Was that the one that was 5-3 this season? Was it 5-3 with them too? And he scored, and didn't he? That was the game.
Yeah, I mean, he did score there, but I mean, it's just different now. I'm just going with current form as well. I mean, Man City, their defence is getting better. Arsenal's defence is getting better. Coquelin's back as well there. Just current form, and they're at home as well. Arsenal are at home, and they do well there. They've got a great goalie. Obviously, so have Man City. If I got Vardy in now, it would be really long term. I can't see me getting points from him. If I was going to get someone in, I mean, I'd look at someone like perhaps. I mean, it's so tough,
it's
isn't
really
it?
tough, yeah.
It would be like a differential.
Doesn't he have a guaranteed game though, which would save you transfer in the long run as well?
Yes, I mean, it would be a long term one. I mean, the players I want in really are midfielders.
Well, this is it. We're shifting. Are we going to shift to five across the middle, aren't we, and 2 up front? Is that the way it's going to go, or even 4 at the back?
Well, I mean, this was discussed on the site. Do we do that? And it kind of makes sense. I mean, I went that way earlier in the season. It was a complete failure to me. I ended up benching loads of points, just making the wrong decisions. It was absolute disaster. Since I've had Josh King, who never plays, I've been shooting up the rankings. So I kind of like that, but Josh King's got to go as well, because come game week 27, currently got Lukaku.
Yeah, you're going to struggle, aren't you?
We're going to struggle, so I need to be looking at these players. So I'm actually looking. I mean, this goes on to what we're going to do next week, but it's all part of that same discussion about what to do to Lukaku. I might actually just sit on Lukaku for a week, and Josh King out for Firmino, because I think Liverpool hosting Sunderland looks good. Once again, it's another move I've got to make out, but. I think I can. I don't know. That's what I mean. It's so hard to find, because you've got to think about game week 27. You've got to think about the upcoming fixtures. You've got to think about the midfielders you want. It's such a tough. I've never known a week like this for transfer decisions. Completely stumped.
Yeah, I mean, Firmino's a funny one, isn't he? He can go sublime to the ridiculous. He can be explosive, but he can also just go completely missing for me. So he's a good option as a differential in midfield. I think the 5 across the middle is the way I'm going to go. I think I'm maybe going to make my transfer in midfield or at the back, and only play 2 up front if Lukaku's out, and I can probably absorb that. But yeah, I'm with Andy. I think hold Lukaku until that game week 27, and then do the Vardy thing, because it just seems set up for Leicester over that run. If they can come through the City and the Arsenal game and get points in those games, then the impossible could happen, couldn't it?
I never thought I'd say this, but I in game week 27, I would take 4 Leicester players, definitely, maybe even 5. They're just playing that well defensively and attacking at the moment.
Yeah.
But obviously you can't do that. But that would be my hope or plan.
No, absolutely, yeah. Okay, other differentials. I mean, another player who's off form, there's no doubt about it. We've got to talk about him, and that's Ozil. The questions on him, isn't there, John T, on Ozil and the Sanchez?
Well, yes, yeah. I mean, let's just say he was off form by that, because he was certainly on form, even though he didn't get any points against Southampton. But a huge amount of chances were created. But anyway, but AK asks, are we feeling comfortable dropping Özil for Sanchez? And Escucci asks, what are our plans with Özil? I mean, for this, what I've done is I usually reel out my goals imminent tables, but I've gone to someone else's goals imminent tables.
Someone else does one, do they?
Yeah, someone else does one.
Right, okay.
Bowstring the Carp, one of our regular community.
Yes, of course,
writers.
Bowstring, yes.
Now, I usually go 4 weeks back, so 4 weeks stats, and for some reason they're not scoring, but they're doing something right. And
Don't tell me he's gone deeper, has he?
He's gone more shallow.
Oh,
I mean that in a nice way. He's gone the last 2 weeks. The last 2 game weeks. The reason I did this is because that shows up Arsenal a little bit more because they had they had absolutely huge underlying stats against Southampton. Southampton were really lucky to not come away with conceding about 5 or 6 goals. And then also Arsenal had that tricky fixture the week before. So this is after the last 2 game weeks. And bear in mind, Giroud only played a few minutes in one of those. Because Mertesacker got sent off and he was sacrificed. But he is top of that goals imminent table. He's had 7 shots inside the box, 8 goal attempts in basically a game and a bit. So that's absolutely huge. And then Alexis Sanchez is in there as well. And then when you look at assists imminent, you've got Özil there. I mean, all mainly from that last game. So you think, should we go for that one last game? Or was this actually what Özil was all about?
Yeah.
He did have a little bit of an injury, a bit of a foot injury, so maybe he's back. He's had a bit of a rest, back to his best. They look, in terms of underlying stats, absolutely great. They faced Bournemouth.
There's no doubt. Özil's been an Opta darling for ages, hasn't he? And the facts are, though, in the last 6 game weeks, or he's only played 5 of the last 6, so he missed a game. 1 goal, 1 assist. So in terms of his fancy returns, pretty miserable. No, he hasn't justified his price tag. But in that spell, Arsenal have only scored 6 goals. So it stands to reason. The question is, have Arsenal scored 6 goals because Arsenal just gone off the ball up front, or is it because Özil isn't providing the quality of opportunity that he was before? The numbers show that in fact, in the last 6 game weeks, he's actually providing chances quicker than he did before that. Every 18 minutes in the last 6 game weeks before that, up to game week 17, every 21 minutes up to game week 18 rather. So he's actually producing more recently, but that hasn't turned into points. So something's wrong. Maybe you say Giroud's top of those stats tables, but he's just not. Maybe he's not taking his chances. Maybe it needs Walcott to come in. That it makes it harder to look at Giroud as an option up front. Whether we go Sanchez, it's difficult, isn't it? I mean, he's been impressive since he come back, and it is a ready-made differential there at the moment. But it does seem like it's a gamble. It's like the De Bruyne situation a while back. We talked about him a couple of weeks ago, and it looked like the stats said don't get rid. But then he had a disappointing game at West Ham, and I kind of changed my mind. I kind of was quite happy getting rid after watching him in that game and watching City, and I wonder whether the same's happening with Özil. As in, the stats look good, but it's just not coming together for him. I mean, Luke, are you looking at Sanchez for Özil? You've already got him, haven't you? Andy's got him, but you haven't got him, have you?
I've never had Özil in my team, so I'm probably not the best person to ask. I certainly wouldn't be getting rid of him if I had him, put it that way. I just think that with Arsenal, there's points from so many different angles. There's none of this big fish in a small pond. Anyone can get him on any given game week, and a lot has to do with whether Giroud's actually in form and can finish the chances for him. Obviously, earlier in the season, he was bang at it, and recently, like you say, he's gone off the ball. Although he's up there at the stats, he's always going to be there just because of the nature of what Arsenal are like. I certainly want to get him rid of Özil. He's just, as you said, he's top of those assist him, and the points are going to come. The corners, he keeps firing those corners. They're ridiculous. Every time I watch him, he scares me. Sanchez is definitely the premium option, the more exciting option, but I wouldn't be so hasty to get rid of them. Definitely not. I can see them scoring big against Bournemouth. It's just that lottery of who's going to get the points.
Yeah, where it's going to go. I mean, the thing is, to me, Özil just seems like the comfortable situation. When I've just gone Aguero, part of me wants to gamble on getting rid of Özil and going Sanchez, and I am setting myself up to do that. Andy, you got Sanchez in there. You're quite happy going with Özil, are you?
I don't know if I'd say happy, but it's basically what you just said. I do need a few differentials, and I kind of see Sanchez as almost like a safe one. I've just taken out Özil, who's got 50% ownership, but in Sanchez, he's only got 12. So it's a bit like the Aguero situation. When we all got him in, he was around 13%. So my hope is that he's going to do the business against Bournemouth, and I'll be on the train before anyone else. And I was going to roll over a transfer and think about it next week, but I just thought if I'm going to do it anyway, I'll just do it this week. So I wouldn't say I'm happy about losing Ozil, but something's got to give, and I just see that as a kind of an almost safe differential. And I think out of the two, they're a bit like Silva and De Bruyne. I see like Ozil was the assister, Sanchez the one with the eye for goal. You know, De Bruyne seems to be the one with the eye for goal, and Silva's the one more likely to assist. So hopefully explosive. We'll see. Maybe a captain option this week.
So, Jonty, what about you? I mean, Ozil's your kind of player. Drip, 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 steady points, assist, bonus. Sanchez, more risky because he is streaky, isn't he? He'll go on a game and he had that spell in the season where he got, I think, 46 points in 3 game weeks, and then he's gone quiet. He obviously has been interrupted by injury. Are you looking at that? I mean, we've talked about ways of getting differentials in. Sanchez seems ready-made, doesn't he?
I'm not personally looking at getting rid of Özil for Sanchez, but I'd be looking at doubling up because I was looking back at those 3 game weeks. It's game weeks 7, 8, and 9, and that was a huge score. Yeah, I think he started off with 20 points, Sanchez. But I was looking at the other players. What was interesting to me is, okay, so Sanchez, we know he has got that exposed potential, but if he's going to be scoring, who else is going to be scoring points? And Özil got some really good scores as well those 3 games. So he was racking up the assists and the bonus as well. It was Giroud that was suffering. He actually scored 2 goals in amongst that. He never got more than 5 or 6 points really in a game week. So I'm thinking that if Sanchez does really well, for the time being, I've got Özil. I'm going to be getting some points out of that. So it's a question of, like with Ali and Kane or Eriksen and Kane, do you double up? I think at the moment, the thing is, those underlying stats against Southampton were very impressive. Sanchez is looking sharper. They got Bournemouth next, and Bournemouth aren't very good defensively. I'd really like to see what happens in that game. And I think, God, I'd almost tempted to make a move actually for Sanchez and Özil, but it would involve points because I think that if anyone's got an explosion imminent, it's Sanchez at the moment, and I think Bournemouth is an ideal place for it to happen.
Yeah, I mean, the Bournemouth defence has been obliging, but you know they're hot and cold though. Bournemouth, you've got to think that Arsenal have the weapons to tear them apart. But Bournemouth they've been playing well, they've been getting results. You know,
they're the kind of team that you think might do alright against Arsenal, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because they sort of play in a similar way. Like,
is it a thrashing? I don't know. I think Arsenal at the moment are typically getting cold feet, aren't they, on the run in? And the problem with doubling up on Arsenal, I look at their fixtures and I think, okay, after Bournemouth, Leicester, Man United. Well, I don't know how many goals are in those 2. You know, Old Trafford, toughest home defence in the league. Leicester game, lot at stake. Is that going to be tight? Swansea at home, okay, could be goals there. Then they got Tottenham, North London derby, anything could happen in that. West Brom at home, well, West Brom turn up, Pullis will park the bus for sure. Everton away, that, you know, you think they might get goals out of that one, but their fixtures, just there's no pattern of blue there. There's nothing that makes me go, that's the time I want to double up. So, I don't know, I think I may well do the switch to Sanchez as just a desperation measure, just to maybe give myself a chance of pushing the rank up, because I think if I sit with the team I've got, I think I'll just go up and down 10,000 places over the next 3 or 4 weeks. And it's going to take something like Ozil or Sanchez to push me up a rank or see me tumbling down by 200,000. We'll see. I am tempted. Goalkeepers, that's a transfer that no one wants to make, but we've got questions on it, haven't we? There's doubts about Butland, isn't there?
Yeah, so I mean, just looking down, I mean, yeah, it's just something a lot of people are asking actually, because a lot of us, we've all got Hennessy and Butland and maybe Myhill, so they're either not playing or they're just not keeping clean sheets. So Uppercut Panda, he asks, is it time to jump off the Butland bandwagon? Guna Kebab asks, which are the best keepers the next few game weeks? And Beza says, is it time for Southampton defensive cover? And that would bring me on to Forster at Southampton. I think he has to be, the choice goalie at the moment. Because if you look at the last 4 game weeks, Forster, he's got 4 clean sheets, okay, so that's pretty impressive. But it's not just that as well, he's actually getting the saves as well. So it is him who is helping out there, and a lot were against Arsenal. So he's got 13
that game was
saves.
ridiculous last night.
It's only Petr Cech has got more saves than him over the last 4. But I actually think that Foster, so not Forster, but Foster at West Brom could be a good one as well. So yes, only 1 clean sheet. He's made 7 saves, but he's only been playing the last 2. So he's averaging about the same as Forster in terms of saves. And you've always got to think about, this is why Butland's been so good, because of all these wonderful save points. But they can't keep these clean sheets at all at the moment. So I don't know. There's a bit of money tied up with Butland, but I think if Butland's your only goalkeeper, you definitely need to get another one or think about replacing Butland. That's my view.
The thing is, you're not going to hold Butland and then spend. The reason why Hennessy's been such a good option is because he's 4-1. I'm not going to get 2 goalkeepers for more than 4.5, which is, I mean, for me, that I don't know. Even with the money floating around, I just think I don't want to do that. And the thing is, when you've got Butland, it's tough to know when not to play him. The factor here is the fixtures, because if you look at Stoke's fixtures, I looked at the ticker and I sorted over the next 10 game weeks. They're ranked third for clean sheets. They got a good run. There's plenty of blue on that ticker for them. So yes, they're struggling, and Shawcross is out, but there's talk that Shawcross could be back sooner rather than later, and that will make the difference. We've seen it already this season when he plays. Stoke are a different side defensively. So I don't know if it is time, but normally, I mean, I endorse you on the Forster option. There's no doubt he's the form keeper with 4 clean sheets. That's obvious, but until last night, you would have said, well, you're not going to get Forster because Target's the option in that Southampton defence. He's 3.8. Unless you want to double up, you cover it with Target, and that's the case for a few of these defences. You look at Schmeichel. I know that Andy, you've got Schmeichel in your squad, but you've also got Hoof, so you've doubled. But the option there is Simpson possibly at 4-1. There's a cheaper option there covering it. So again, there's not really obvious candidates there. Luke, you've gone for the one-stop shop. You've gone for De Gea. You're quite happy with that, are you?
I've actually got Butland and De Gea. It's just the way that it's worked
so you've been big. Right, okay.
Yeah, not intentionally. I have got it wrong on occasion, but David De Gea has outscored Butland quite a lot in recent weeks, and that's one of the reasons why I've managed to keep pace with you guys this week. Even though not having Kane, De Gea has been coming up good, and I do think he is a good option because they were cheaper this year. Not sure how much he is now, but obviously the expensive keepers were a lot cheaper this year, weren't they, by 0.5. And I honestly think if you want that security, you have to look at either Cech or David De Gea. I mean, I know we've got a wild card yet, and at that point you might want your 2 keepers to get your bench boost for the double game weeks and stuff. But as a stopgap, David De Gea and Cech, they just keep filling out saves, clean sheets, and I think they're good options. The whole Stoke thing as well with Shawcross, I know he made a difference, but the same with Igalo and other players. Butland's level of performance was just absolutely insane. It had to level off at some point, and I think that's a bit of a factor in the Stoke defence as well. So I think we've got to bear that in mind. Yeah, for me, if I was to pick one, I think David De Gea. Man United at home, it's nearly a banker clean sheet every week.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, he's just the go-to guy when United are at home. John, so you've got the Hennessy Butland situation, same as me. I guess you've got other fires to put out at the moment, but what's your plans of that then? Are you looking at Forster then?
Well, yeah, I mean, as you said, I've got other issues to sort out, and it's annoying, these blanks and things like that coming up. I have 2 playing goalkeepers. Stoke are guaranteed, and we've got another question like preparing for game week 30. So we've got game week 27 blanks, but game week 30's coming up in a few weeks, and that's going to be more blanks because it's to do with the FA Cup. And Stoke are guaranteed to play then, so that's quite good. Because if you've got no goalkeepers playing, that's one of those moves that's about to tip you over the edge to wildcard, and you don't really want to be wildcarding until you can use it, more wisely in a kind of a way of handling the double game weeks and all these types of things. But no, I'm going to keep, but I'm not happy about it. I'm going to play Butland this week, but I don't think I'm going to get a clean sheet, and they're not racking up the saves too much either. But I think Palace defence is gone at the moment. I mean, Dan is your man there because he's going to score the odd goal. But I can't see any clean sheet points at all for Palace.
It's tough. They're going for a bad spell, both back to front, aren't they? They're not scoring goals, and it's hurting the defence. And Hennessy's not doing it for us either. So it's pretty dry spelling. But it's the goalkeeper position. It's one we care least about in our squads. Often we neglect it. Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should put some priority on it. But at the moment, it looks so difficult to pick out an option there. Reliable clean sheets have been a curse all season, unless you're looking at United at home. That's about it, and Luke's gone that option. Maybe there is some merit there, but it's still cash to spend. I don't know. We'll see. There's a question on long-term planning. You mentioned it there. You mentioned the blanks. Is it VS10 brings this up?
Yeah, I mean it's looking at so we've got game week 27. So we know that Liverpool, Everton, Man City, and Newcastle are missing a game. So we have to start planning for that. But VS10 are. So you guys looking at game week 30. already by transferring in. So what he's doing is he's highlighting those players that are definitely going to be playing there. So these guys are out of the FA Cup. So we've got Leicester, Southampton and Stoke. So it goes back to Forster again. I mean, and it also goes back to people like differentials like Charlie Austin perhaps as well. And it goes back to do we get rid of Mahrez? Do we keep him? Well, I think we should keep him. And then we've got Vardy. Is Vardy a good option? Long term, Vardy's just amazing. But also the thing about Vardy is he's been injured 5 times this season. He's never missed a game.
Yeah.
Because he'll turn out, oh, my wrist's broken. Oh, I don't know. I'll just. Didn't he score a brace or something? Like, well, literally a brace on his arm, but with his wrist broken, and then he has surgery. Oh, don't worry, it's just a flesh wound, and he's back on the pitch scoring.
Yeah, he's a durable player, and I think that game week 30 option. And Leicester's fixtures, that combination means we're going to go back to the 3 Leicester. I think Andy hit the nail on the head. I haven't yet. I mean, I'm first of all, I'm keeping an eye on game week 27. We're all doing that. I think when it comes to planning for game week 30, it's quite difficult because I think it's just that little bit too early to start warping your transfer decisions according to that. Because if you're not careful, because I mean, for example, I'm even looking at Wijnaldum this week. You know, he's at home to West Brom. I know he's got a blank in game week 27. But I'd be foolish. He scored 9 goals at home. I'd be foolish not to think, well, Wijnaldum, is he worth a shot for me at home to West Brom? Even though I know he's got a blank to come in a couple of weeks, do I want to let that just completely blinker me and overlook players just because they got a blank in 2 or 5 weeks' time? I think it's too early for game week 30. I think if you're into long-term planning, obviously keep one eye on it, but don't let it bias your transfers too much because you could miss out on opportunities. That, you know, and it's just a little bit silly. We often forget that we have got 5 free transfers between now and then, and it doesn't hurt to take one hit if you have to. Obviously, you don't want to take that one hit for a defender. You don't want to take it for a goalkeeper, but elsewhere, it's still an option which you can still get profit from doing that if you take the right hit. So I'm not panicked yet about game week 30. Luke, what about yourself? Are you looking at it?
No, yeah, I mean, I've got the same mindset as you, really. I mean, just if I feel 11 players on that game, I guarantee they're going to score many points. I mean, they're probably not going to be as good a players as the ones I'd have leading up to it, like you said. So, yeah, I bear it in mind, but I won't let it completely rule my decisions. I mean, I've just from past experiences, I've remembered taking hits to field a team with 11 players just for that need, that desire to have 11 players, and they've just not scored any points. It was totally unworth it and weakened my team as a result of that. So, anything can happen on the individual game week. I've already said it. It could work out for you, but I think I'll try and edge away from that one. Try not to fall into that trap.
Yeah, John T, what about yourself? Are you a long-term planner? Are you strike me?
I like it.
You like a bit of that, but are you already thinking that it's affecting your transfers, or
it's in the back of my mind, and it's mainly because how you use the wild card around it. Because the potential lucrative time where planning really comes into its element is strategically using a wild card so that you can either maximise a team ahead of a double game week and then ditch them all afterwards, so use the wild card, or use the wild card before to get all of them in, but then they've got to be ones that you want to keep.
Yeah.
So you do have to think a little bit about that. So I've just got that in the back of my mind, really, and I know that there's going to be a double game week with the 4 teams we mentioned already missing game week 27. I don't know whether there's going to be, depending on which teams are involved, whether some of them will all be part of some jumbo double game week. In that case, then this season's even trickier because you've got the triple captain and you've got the bench boost. And the bench boost could be immense with a strategic wildcard.
Yeah.
And the triple captain could be immense when you don't need the wildcard. Say Aguero, so Aguero's double gaming. And you look back in the past, you got Rooney. Do you remember when Rooney, 2010 I think it was, Rooney got 32 points. So already, if he triple captain a player like that, you've got 96 points from one player. I mean, that's absolutely huge. So if the rest of your team are racking up, say, 60, 70, and then other people have used their wildcard, used their triple captain score, you've got about 90 points up on everyone around, on these other people that have used these
yeah, I don't want to think like that, because inevitably I'm going to captain Lukaku for 1 point, so I don't even want to think about that. But yeah, I mean, it's totally true, and I think that the bench boosts, I fancy the bench boost in a double game week myself. I think that's the one I want to play, and I do think a bumper double game week could be on the cards. I do think that they may well collect the Capital One Cup finalists fixtures up with the FA Cup ones, and then have them around late in the late 30s, in the mid to late 30 game weeks. We'll see, because it has happened before that we've had 4 or 5 matches as a double game week. And if that's the case, then the bench boost is going to be the one. I think I would be planning for a double game week. Don't get me wrong. If we knew that double game week fixture was there, I'd start planning for that. Planning for blanks, I'd like to think that I'll be able to get 11 out anyway, and I think I'm with Luke on this. In the past, I have been obsessed with getting 11 out and broken my squad to do it, and then found that actually the players I brought in just got me a couple of points. So, I'm not too obsessed about game week 30 yet, but that'll all change once a double game week drops in. Andy, what's your views on it?
Yeah, pretty similar. Like, I only have 2 players that are going to blank in 27, so I wouldn't look to bring any more in just in case, because I have players like Stanislas. But game week 30, there's potentially 8 different teams it could be. So, how do you plan for that right now? I'll just wait till it happens and then do it from there. I mean, the only thing to consider, I suppose, is the ones that we're saying aren't going to blank. They're not going to have a double. So piling your team with those means later on you're going to have to get rid if you want a full team of, or close to a full team of double game week players. So until we know more, I'll plan as much as I can, but I won't wreck my head trying to do any more, really. Yeah,
I mean, that's a good point. When we're looking at getting Vardy and Mahrez back in our teams, all of us, when it comes to the double game week, are they gonna last? I mean, they're going to be players that we'll look at, and maybe to get the cash back, we'll want to get them out again. So, yeah, it's true. It all hinges on that. There's a lot of talk about, come on, name the double game weeks, tell us the dates. Almost as if the guys at the Premier League fixtures, that's their main priority in terms of naming the dates for those fixtures. It's nothing to do with when the clubs need to know about policing. It's us fantasy managers need to know when they are. We're going to have to wait, and I think they're going to come quite a way from now. I've just got a feeling it's going to be quite a while before those are named. We'll see. That's the weekend preview. Let's look ahead at the weekend. Then it's only a couple of days away. We're going to do the clean sheets. We're going to do the captains and transfers business again. Fancy Island Risks as well. Let's go with Fancy Island Risks first. John T, you've got to say first, you missed your glory of Naismith. You picked him a couple of weeks ago and he scored in his debut, dropped in for you. Nice pick. Are you going to match that again this week? What have you got?
Well, hopefully. I basically didn't use any stats or anything for Stephen Naismith. I just thought he was quite good at Everton, didn't get his chances. I thought he was a good signing for Norwich, and hey, presto, he was, and I think he'll get more as well. But I'm going for someone with a bit of stats behind him now. So Swansea's new boy, Alberto Palasci. He's come in. He managed to get about half a game this week. 3 goal attempts in 48 minutes. That puts him in about the top 4 or 5 in terms of minutes per goal attempt. His manager likes him. His manager got him in because he thinks he'd be suited to the Premier League. His main competition is Gomez, so he has no competition. I think he'll play, and I think he could even boost AU's chances. I think Palasci is a good differential. Good fixture as well.
Yeah, I mean, up against that Palace defence, which is not having a good time of it, is it? So it's a decent bet. He did look lively at West Brom. Lovely touch, lot of good technique. He suits that Swansea style of play well, you think, but we'll see. They've been playing with a big man. I mean, they like playing with a big centre forward for a while. Even going back to like the days of Jason Scotland, Swansea have loved a big centre forward. So this is very, very different. So we'll see how they adjust to that. He obviously wants to set up with a smaller man there, more mobility, and against that Palace defence, he could come good. Andy, what have you got?
Yeah, so sticking with the new signings, a bit of a risk, but Dumbia at Newcastle.
Yeah, you like him, don't you?
Yeah, well, as a FIFA player, he's a bit of a cult legend for FIFA players, so yeah. But Mitrovic has just been dropped, just got dropped for the last game. Perez played, didn't score. He's just had his, just got his visa and whatever sorted out, Dumbia, so maybe they'll put him straight in next week. So,
I think he'll definitely get minutes. Whether he'll start, I don't know. But again, it's the opposition, isn't it? West Brom. I mean, West Brom are quite capable to turn up and defending and keeping the clean sheet, but they haven't been doing that. It just hasn't been happening for them. So, yeah, and Newcastle, their new signings, first home game for them. You've got to think there's going to be a lot of emotion there, and I would say there's goals. Luke, who have you got?
Well, I was thinking about Jordan A, who said he got himself sent off just because he's playing Norwich, but obviously he won't be doing that now. I also thought about Dumbia, that's been taken from me. Austin's another good shout if he's back fit. Southampton home to West Ham, can see goals there, but I think I'm going to go with Benteke because I just think if Liverpool didn't score, Firmino didn't look great. He sat on the bench the whole time. Home to Sunderland, I just think they might bring him in, and I think he might do something. He's got a good record.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be increasing on Klopp to give him another run out, isn't it? He's been trying Firmino, and it's hot and cold, isn't it, with him? As I said.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't recommend bringing him in, put it that way. But as a differential pick, I think he could be a good shout. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm going Townsend because he's a favourite of mine. When he was at Spurs, I was trying to get him in my team, but never really trusted him. I still don't trust him, but somehow it's a bit easier when he's at Newcastle. I've got an interesting stat on Nash. You'll love this one, Jonty. Yeah, Townsend loves a long shot, doesn't he? As we know, because I think he had in his debut season, I think he had 46 of his 51 shots outside the box. He just shoots them anywhere. West Brom have conceded more shots outside the box than any other club apart from Palace. So there you go. He'll get his chances, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
And as I said, I think there'll be goals in that Newcastle game. So I'm going Townsend. Probably didn't do much tonight. I haven't seen the Everton game. He is another player who blows hot and cold. But I think home debut, St James's Park, packed out. Yeah, fancy that. 5'8" as well. Could be a good differential, I reckon. Clean sheets. Jonty, do you want to go first on that?
Well, I mean, they're getting harder and harder to predict. But I think, looking at it, I'm going to go Chelsea again. I think.
And United, do you? Free scoring United?
Yeah. Free scoring occasionally. I think there's a big difference between playing Stoke at home and playing Chelsea away. And I think Chelsea have got it. And I've got to back my man Ivanovic, so that's what I'm going to do. Yeah,
okay, fair enough. Obviously, you're not going to agree with that, Luke, are you, as a United fan? So, what have you got?
I've got no idea. I'm looking at the fixtures now, and it's just baffling, isn't it?
It's tough, isn't it? It's hard to see, really, where the clean sheets are.
I mean, I could see Arsenal potentially getting one, but Bournemouth have got goals in them. Southampton are obviously the run they're on. You'd be a brave man to back against, and West Ham haven't looked great recently. So, yeah, I'll go for Southampton. Why not? The only other one I can think of is Spurs. So, yeah, Southampton.
Yeah, okay. And Andy?
Yeah, you guys are all talking about how hard it is to pick one. I've got 6 teams written down here.
Go on then, reel them off. I can see one. Surely Swansea Palace, isn't it? Surely.
No, I've not even got that one written down. Well, Chelsea, yes, and United. It could be a 0-0.
Yeah, it could be a 0-0, yeah.
Southampton you just picked. Newcastle against West Brom. Spurs against Watford. And the one I'm going to pick, just because everyone's starting to sell their players, is I think Liverpool might get one against Sunderland. And that's a risk because they've been pretty poor. But yeah, at home to Sunderland, I think everyone's starting to sell Moreno. I think he could be maybe pick up a clean sheet.
I don't know. I mean, Sunderland looked like they had a bit about them on the other night, so I don't know. I worry about that one. I think there's some secure ones there. Spurs Watford's a bit ropey. I don't know. Yeah, I mean the Spurs defence is worrying me. I've kept Toby all this time, but he got one at Norwich. Then Norwich are they're unreliable at the moment. I worry at home to Watford. Igalo and Deeney I think will cause some problems, but. Yeah, I don't know. It's tricky. I think you're right. I think on paper there's some clean sheets there, but it never really turns out like that, does it? I think the Swansea Palace one is the sure bet. That's the one I would go for. Ashley Williams bonus, of course, with a clean sheet. So I think Williams could be in the picks this week, Jonty. You're not going to talk me out of that one. Okay, let's talk about our transfers and our captain. Jonty, you can go first. What are you doing? Are you tidying up that back four as Josh King?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think I might have been influenced by you lot actually during the ScoutCast, because I said it's the trickiest week I've known for a long time, and I think perhaps not worrying about the long term, having a bit of short term, and I think.
Oh, blimey, hello. Okay.
I mean, looking at the fixtures, I'm basically looking at the next couple of fixtures really, and there's not a lot of things, not a lot of players to scream out, but I think Firmino at Liverpool. I mean, they've got Sunderland at home and Villa away. I mean, that's a great couple of fixtures there. I think. Or as you said, Wijnaldum as well, because Wijnaldum's kind of a player you can definitely bench away, and you never want to bench when he plays at home.
Yeah.
But the other player I'm thinking of, and this is really odd, is trebling up on Spurs and getting Eriksen in.
Yeah.
Which is relying on Spurs more than I've ever relied on them before, having Ali and Kane. But Eriksen is absolutely. Duzra, one of our regulars, was on the site with loads of stats tables. Eriksen is just at the top of them all, like anything you can imagine.
And he was a Scout Picks champion. He had him in there, but he got found out by Ali's goal.
Shooting, chances created, I don't know, cleaning the boots, making cups of tea, whatever. He's at the top of any table you can list. And he plays in game week 27, so a bit of long-term plan. I don't know. Trebling up on Spurs though.
Yeah, they've got City away after this week as well. Then again, you never know, do you? I mean, City's defence. Okay, so you may be going Eriksen. Who's your captain then? Is that a silly question? Are we all going to say the same thing here?
No, I think I'm tempted by Kane this week. I think Kane has slightly the better fixture. It's like Watford v Leicester defence really. Aguero at home is a tough one. I did switch to Aguero last minute when he played West Ham. Because I did some digging in the stats, and West Ham defence actually wasn't as good as it looked on paper. So I need to do a bit of digging on that. So we'll come down to that. But it's between Kane and Aguero.
Yeah, I think we'll end up going Aguero. You'll play safe, won't you? It's Dullard all over.
I think Kane's safer, actually. I do think
we'll see.
Kane's a safe one.
I don't trust that one. Andy, what have you got in mind? Surely Aguero, isn't it?
Yeah, it'd be Aguero, Kane, or Sanchez. But I've been such a backer for Leicester's defence though. They've really not been conceding.
Yeah.
I do see that game being tight, but yeah, I'll probably play pretty boring and go Aguero. And then transfer-wise, it's going to be a defensive change. I haven't quite worked out who's going to go yet. Probably Smalling or Rose, maybe. And I'm actually going to bring in a Stoke defender just for fixtures because I just don't see who else. I've already got a Southampton defender, so yeah, I don't really see many other options for clean sheets. So I'm going to go for Stoke and hope Butland can keep it up.
Okay, and over to you, Luke. It goes without saying you're going to put it on Aguero because you always do. You always stick with the best player in the league, don't you?
I haven't in seasons past, but this season it's probably the only time I've ever got points on Aguero, so I think I'm going to stick with that. I'd like to say Sanchez, but and I may change my mind, but I'd probably only be kidding myself. It's going to be Aguero, and transfer-wise, I think I've got the easiest decision out of all of you lot. Lukaku out, Kane in. I'm the only one who hasn't got him. He's killing me, so I've got to get him in.
Yeah, Kane in for you. That's fair enough. For me, at the moment, I'm toying. I'm probably going to do a transfer at the back. I'm thinking that's the best source of differentials at the moment. For 1 week only, I may look at Wijnaldum coming in for IU. The problem I've got is, do I bench Mahrez? Do I dare bench Mahrez at City? Or do I bench Payet at Southampton? That's the only way that I can play IU or my transfer if I get a midfielder in for IU. So I could get Wijnaldum in for IU, and maybe playing Wijnaldum at home to West Brom gives me a bit of the balls to bench Mahrez or bench Payet, but I think it's a mistake if I do that, so it's tricky. So it could be I just change a defender, maybe looking at Janmaat for a 1 week option because they were home to West Brom, could be a clean sheet there. Or I could look at Williams as well. So it's pretty dull. As predicted, this is what happens when I backtrack and I get Aguero. My transfers go from getting game-changing players in, like Barkley, to Ashley Williams or Daryl Janmaat. I've brought it on myself, haven't I, really? I have only got myself to blame. As I say, I do regret it, but I've got to live with it now. I've got to try and make the best of it, Jonty. You manage it season upon season, so it must be easy enough. So what am I moaning about?
No, just get good players in and ditch bad ones. I mean, it's pretty simple, really.
Get good players in, ditch bad ones, get lots of points, and be happy about it.
Put that quote at the bottom of the page.
Yeah. It seems to make sense. Why am I so miserable about it? I don't know. Maybe I'll be happier. I need an Aguero hat-trick. That's what I need. That's what we all need. Okay, thanks so much, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure as always. Thanks, Andy, for joining us. Thanks, Luke. And thanks, Jonty, for another round of questions. It's a good night from me.
Good night from me.
Good night from me.
Good night.
Good night, all.